It was about 11 o'clock in the morning, mid-October, with the sun not shining and a look of hard, wet rain in the clearness of the foothills. I was wearing my powder blue suit with dark blue shirt, tie, and display handkerchief, black brogues, black wool socks with dark little clocks on them. I was neat, clean, shaved, and sober, and I didn't care who knew it. I was everything the well-dressed private detective ought to be. I was calling on $4 million. Hello everyone, I'm Jim. Welcome to my channel. Well, it's the end of Private Eye July, sadly. I had a really good month. I didn't get as many videos as I would have liked, and I didn't read as many books as I would have liked, but I think I did pretty good. And I think Private Eye July, the event really did well. There were so many people who there was such a great response to it, and all my other co-hosts, all the co-hosts that helped me out with Private Eye July, they just did a fantastic job. They really shot some great videos, but Private Eye July, for those of you who don't know, is just a month where we celebrate reading private eye fiction. The private eye genre is now kind of a genre unto itself, thanks to the Private Eye Writers of America. Back in the 80s, their goal was to take the private eye subgenre of mystery and make it its own genre, and I think they succeeded in that. So a private eye is basically an investigator who takes money to investigate crimes or murders and that kind of thing, and they don't work for a government or a law enforcement agency, and they're not an amateur sleuth. They do this for money. So I mean, that's basically what a private eye is and what they do. So this is a genre that I've loved for a long time. My origins with private eye fiction started when I was a teenager. When I was a teenager, I was reading everything. I was just, inhaling every book that I could find. And I found like 4 James Bond books in a used bookstore. And in one of the books, James Bond is reading a Raymond Chandler novel. And he's enjoying it, obviously. He had good things to say about it. And I thought to myself, oh, who is this Raymond Chandler guy? Who's this Philip Marlowe character that he's going on about? And I found some of the Raymond Chandler novels in the secondhand bookstore, and I picked them up and I read them, and from that point on, I was hooked on private eye fiction, and that's kind of how my love for the genre started. So yeah, that's why I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and I was thankful that I kind of got the kick in the pants to develop this reading event. And just so you know, we will be coming back next year even bigger and better for Private Eye July. And I want to thank all my co-hosts that really helped me out with this and did such incredible jobs on their videos. It just made me happy. It made me so happy. So I want to go through the books that I read this month. I'm just going to go through them quickly and let you know what I read and see if you're interested in reading them as well. I'm gonna carry on reading PI fiction because that's what I do. I have a whole bunch of unread, and that's kind of a reading project of mine, is to read private eye fiction on top of the other stuff that I read. So the first one I read this month was Michael Collins' Act of Fear. This is the first Dan Fortune novel. He's a one-armed private eye who works out of Chelsea, New York City. Great series, really well written. I put this up there with Ross MacDonald's Lou Archer series, very reminiscent of that kind of private eye fiction. Great book. And I want to get the rest of the series. I think there's quite a few in the series. 17, maybe 20 or so, but this is Michael Collins is a pseudonym of the writer Dennis Lins. So, and he wrote a lot of the Michael Shane stories in the Mike Shane Mystery Magazine after Brett Halliday stopped doing them. So yeah, those were great. Next book I read was Halo and Blood by Howard Brown, writing as John Evans, and this was kind of Howard Brown's shot at trying to emulate Raymond Chandler, and this features this Paul Pine character, a PI character based in Los Angeles, and these are very, very well done. Very good books. And he only wrote, there was only 4 that was published, and there was an incomplete novel and a short story, and they're all collected in an omnibus volume called Halo for Hire. And I would like to get that one of these days to get the rest of them. But, very well recommended and lovely cover. Look at that cover. Love it. And then I read, Steve Donoghue was kind enough to send me all the Bernie Gunther novels as e-files. So I read the first one. I read March Violets by Philip Kerr, featuring Bernie Gunther, and he's a PI in pre-World War II Berlin. And that was just a fascinating story. And after I finished reading March Violets, I kind of had to restrain myself from just reading the rest of them. But I have them all. Steve was kind enough to send them all to me, so I'm going to plug away at those now that PI July is done and read through them. But yeah, great series. These are all highly recommended. I'm going to say that with probably every one of these, that they're all highly recommended. I got up on my feet and went over to the bowl in the corner and threw cold water on my face. After a little while, I felt a little better, but very little. I needed a drink. I needed a lot of life insurance. I needed a vacation. I needed a home in the country. What I had was a coat, a hat, and a gun. I put them on and went out of the room. The next one I read, I found this one at a thrift store just a couple weeks back, Tin City by David Housewright. And this is a series I hadn't heard of before, featuring his character Mac Mackenzie. And there's like 22 in the series. I think he just came out with another one, or will be coming out in 2025. So they're still being written. And this features his character, Rushmore Mac Mackenzie, and he lives in Minneapolis, Minnesota. That's where he works out of. So that was a new city for me for my PI novels, and that's kind of the appeal of these private eyes, is they each have their own city that they work out of, and they're kind of a reflection of that city. So anyway, it's a great book, and you should look into that one. I'm going to keep an eye out for him. Next one I read was Robert B. Parker's Walking Shadow. This is one of the later ones in the series that were written by Robert B. Parker, and at this point, Robert B. Parker kind of started to retread old ground. Like he didn't really do much of anything new in this one, but it was still an enjoyable read. I started reading the Spencer novels back in the 80s when they were still kind of new and fresh. And my thought is that some of these authors maybe, instead of just keep cranking them out, they should know when to stop, and maybe Robert B. Parker should have done that a little later. And now they're still being written by Ace Atkins, and I haven't read any of them. I'm sure they're fine, but there comes a point when you kind of have to say enough is enough. Like Dennis Lehane did that with his Kinsey and Gennaro series. He just kind of stopped it at number 7 or 8, and he said, no, that's the story I've told. I'm not going any farther with it, and I respect him for that. So anyway, but still a good read. And then I read Kinsey Milhone Mystery by Sue Grafton. She's a great writer. Kinsey Milhone is a great character. This plot to free herself from a false fraud allegation against her. So she was kind of working for herself in this book, but the plot kind of pushed her along in this instead of the other way around, and she didn't really kind of figure it out until it was all kind of told to her at the end of the book, which was a little disappointing. But that being said, it was still very well written. The writing itself is awesome. The character of Kinsey Milhone, I really like her, and I just recently acquired a whole bunch of these Sue Grafton books. I have about 20 of them now, and I think she wrote 25. She didn't write Z like the last one in the alphabet, but I'm looking forward to reading the rest of them. And then I read Canadian PI Benny Cooperman by Howard Engel, and this is a city called July, and he works out of the city of Grantham, Ontario. It's a fictional city, but it's a thinly disguised version of St. Catharines, which is just down the road from me. So Benny Cooperman kind of hangs out in my locale, which is kind of cool. And he's more of a soft-boiled PI, Benny Cooperman. He doesn't really follow the traditional tropes of what a hard-boiled PI is, but very well written, very funny. He's a Jewish man, and the rabbi and one of the leaders of the community come to him, and they want him to find a man that absconded with $2 million, a member of their community, and it starts from there. So it was really well done. You know, and I want to get some more of these, but yeah, again, well recommended. It's nice to see a Canadian PI, which there's a few of them, but they're few and far between. And then I read throughout the month of July this graphic novel, Detectives Incorporated, by Don McGregor and Marshall Rogers, Remembrance of Threatening Green. And this features the two PI partners, Ted Denning and Bob Rainier, and takes place in the 70s, and it's got a very 70s vibe to it, but the art is great in it, very detailed, and well recommended if you're into comics and mystery stories and PI stuff. Just a very, very cool story and cool book, great artwork. So that's it for my wrap up. And again, I just want to, and I keep saying this, I think in every video I've said it, but I want to thank everybody for being involved in Private Eye July, and for the recommendations and for the response to my videos. I just made me very happy, and it was a great month. And as I said, we will be back next year, and I will leave it at that. And I'll talk to everyone soon. Until next time, keep reading. I'm a licensed private investigator and have been for quite a while. I'm a lone wolf, unmarried, getting middle-aged, and not rich. I've been in jail more than once, and I don't do divorce business. I like liquor and women and chess and a few other things. The cops don't like me too well, but I know a couple I get along with. I'm a native son born in Santa Rosa, both parents dead, no brothers or sisters, and when I get knocked off in a dark alley sometime, if it happens, as it could to anyone in my business, nobody will feel that the bottom has dropped out of his or her life.